wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quite so thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, but there's logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it, I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it, you know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic, keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me, I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this, freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus, living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you see greatness? Trust me, you can take it, go on and take your aim, yeah.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, yeah.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
When we get to the FBI, we don't know who did the work. You heard that any of that information is redacted. We don't know who did the work. It's a giant secret. We know that by the time the FBI gets involved, the profile, the text file, that's a snip to use to try to identify somebody is more than twice as big when it gets to the FBI from Othram. We don't know how.
I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
Good morning, Hive. Happy Saturday. Let me just double check my audio. Oh, yeah. Coming in loud and clear. I hope that everybody had a fun Friday night. I'm very excited for today's stream as one of my goals going into 2026 is to really get back to my roots of why I love streaming. Don't get me wrong, every stream is fun, but it's more fun when you just lock into the way that your brain thinks and you stop trying to think the same way that everybody else does. I've never been able to do that my entire life. So the last couple of streams, I've really just let my brain flow. I look at what everybody's putting in the Discord or in the YouTube comments, and I take that without thinking anything else of, well, what would somebody think if I said that? Screw that. I don't want to do that shit. I'm never going to do that. This is the Hive Mind. I'm your host, Birdie. I go live weeknights, 7 p.m. Central. And then on Saturdays, I will pop in sometime before noon Central. And today I'm going to be talking about Ethan and Xana, amongst other things around the timeline. And what I want to ask everybody is, how many people have really listened closely to Dylan and Bethany's interview? I understand it's redacted. Could be hard to make some words out, but I do have an enhanced audio version that's extremely crystal clear. I went through some body cam footage, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna watch this without telling myself I already know what happened. I'm just gonna listen, okay? Because when you allegedly walk into a real life horror scene, yet you say, yeah, you heard the dog barking, but you didn't hear any screams, yet the entire world hears blood curdling screams on what was redacted audio. How does that make sense in your statement? How do you say you didn't hear any screams, but yet on Linda Lane Dumpster, Linda Lane Car Park, 1112, you hear not party noises, in my opinion, but blood curdling, terrifying screams. And yet that does not get brought up at all. I've also picked up on a couple other odd things. I found some cool stuff that people have sent me on TikTok and Discord that I'm excited to show everybody and get your thoughts on. I'm going to say what's up to everybody. As I'm doing that, please hit the damn like button. Don't make me beg. This joke's getting old. I'm going to have to leave this joke in 2025, but leave more touch DNA on that on the like button than Brian Koberger left on the sheath. Christ, I could barely get that out. You guys get my point. Just take 2 seconds. Hit the like button. And Jill Weimer, 8006, says, stay true to yourself, Birdie. That's why we love it here. You've created the best community. Well, this community and the Hive would be nothing without the chat. So thank you all. And thank you, Jill, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Any super chat over $4.99 will pop up right here, and I will do my best to address it as fast as possible. What's going on, Discord Dawn? It's Birdie time. Sleeples in South Africa, how are you doing? Pinto Sack, Lisa Hawkins, UFO Dog, Luna, shout out to my mods, including Discord Dawn. I just said what's up to her, but I got the best mods in the game. And formerly known as Beck, if she's in here, Mrs. Birdie. But those first three, they do a ton of the heavy lifting, and I appreciate them. Thumper, Rabbit Hole, Nady K, 21, Caleb, Critic Rick, Terry C. There's Mrs. Birdie. Best of me, Okie Dokie Lisa, Rebecca, Sleuth there, Shelly, Lisa Forward, Lisa Backwards, Jody Designs, Artie Simires, Simrays. Hopefully I said that right. K Wolf, happy Saturday is right. Sue Struble says, it's nice to know there are people out there who think the way I do. Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that. No, you rock, Donald. Growth Renewal. Crystal Falco. Fox Reuter. Yeah, RIP to Tommy Jude. RIP. Aries. Drew Bledsoe said, who started giving you super chats first? It's funny. Tinfoil Hat, Claire, Jasmine, Dina, Kathy. Oh, man, here we go. UFO Dog does this riddle, if that's what you want to call it, a riddle, a rap. Dino and the Hizzy for Shizzy and Rizzy getting mizzy when I'm kizzy, and the Lizzy feeling kizzy when I'm getting busy, and then I'm dizzy doing fizzy when I'm gizzy. Not bad, in my opinion. I think that might have just been one of my best. Jill McKay, glad you caught it live as well. These Saturday lives are my favorite. A little bit smaller of a chat. The chat goes a little bit slower, so I'm able to, see, what you guys are saying more easily. Go Pack, go. That's right. Yeah, you like that, Mr. Birdie? All right, let's get into it, shall we? So, again, I'm going to get to the Ethan and Xana stuff. Let me go through a couple of other things that I have that I think are very interesting to kind of set the tone for today. And I want to start out with these questions. These are rather simple questions, but genuinely, why 4 victims? Why this house? Why this timing? Why no sexual motive? No theft? No chaos? Certainly not reported. And as you all are thinking through some of these answers, I'll put them up on the screen. I don't think that I gave my disclaimer. I think I just said when I go live, but this is a contrarian thinking live stream. So we think past the headlines. So if you're easily rattled or if you're offended on behalf of others, you're not going to like this stream. We, believe it or not, still have the freedom to think out loud. And damn it, we're going to exercise that right. We have the best chat. You could say whatever you want. No trolling, no spamming, no threatening. And the mods will give you enough leash to hang yourself. You'll see a lot of comments pop up on the screen. I try to have this be a super interactive stream where the Hive, meaning you all in the chat, is a part of this. And you guys make the episodes and the streams just as entertaining. Now, when I say why 4 victims, why this house, why this timing, why no sexual motive, no theft, no chaos? It's interesting. I know there's a legal reasoning for why burglary might have been added to Kohberger's charges. The prosecutor said this was not a sexually motivated crime, yet family members are calling Brian Kohberger a pedo. Why did this happen when Kaylee just so happened to be back? Why this house? Why 4 victims, not 6? Yeah, why leave witnesses? Exactly. Well, and Crystal, man, got a sharp chat because that's the truth. She said maybe a message. And that's what people need to understand. This murder was not just a crime, right? It's a horrific crime, but it was not just a crime. I do not believe that they are covering up the crime. This was a message. So the murder was not just a crime. It was a message to the schools, to the families, maybe law enforcement, an unknown third party. And the crime was real, but the context surrounding it was fake. I'm convinced. All of the context that we have heard as to why Brian Kohberger did this, even though they don't have a motive and he never confessed and they never found the weapon and all this other BS that we've had to put up with for the last few years. But the crime was real. The context was fake. Why? Because the message can never be known to the public. I truly believe that at this point. They can let us know about the crime. We can know as many details as they can release until a message starts to appear within that crime. The why, the motive, the how, right? We can know about it. We can see it on the news. Context around it all is manipulated because one of the things that we need to keep in mind is that every good cover-up, okay, let's look at past cover-ups that we know about, right? Every good cover-up has time distortion where they're creating fake windows of events. There is this information overload where they're drowning out real clues and a bunch of BS. There's controlled leaks or curated truth, rather. They have these anchors, narrative anchors. An example in the Idaho 4 would be Kaylee calling Jack and Maddie calling Jack. What if those were injected later? What if those were just a digital anchor? It's not impossible to think that if those two were dead, you can't still use Face ID, or maybe they didn't know their their passcode. And to think that after somebody's dead, the perpetrator wouldn't use a phone, I would say look at the Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie case. Brian Laundrie was texting her mom using her debit card, trying to make it seem like she was still alive. So that can absolutely happen with curated truth. Yep, Sleuth or Dare. Jinx. And that's what I believe it is, though. The message can never be known to the public. That's the cover-up. The crime, the only reason why it might seem a little bit covered up is because, again, they can't have that message start to protrude through that. This was, so that's what I wanted to really set the tone with, is every good cover-up has those things, right? And I thought this was really interesting. So when I'm looking through this light and I'm like, okay, if there's a cover up, I got to go back. I got to get granular. I got to look at details. Every word matters in situations like these. Now, this came out in a Fox News article. Everybody's most likely seen this. But what I thought was really interesting, and I don't know if we've ever talked through this, but let me read this and I'll point it out when I get down to this, midway through the paragraphs. Nearly a month after the quadruple homicide, that occurred in Moscow, Idaho, police have not announced a suspect or found a murder weapon. Investigators are now asking for information about a car whose occupant or occupants might have information. According to Fox News investigators, they're currently looking for a 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra because the Moscow Police Department believes the occupant or occupants of the car may have critical information about the homicide. Now, I could be going too granular on this, but when I read this article, and I think this is very accurate messaging as far as what we are hearing from the police chief. So this was something that I could see in writing where we could look at it. Nearly a month, no suspect. They don't have the murder weapon. And really all they're saying is that somebody driving what they think's a 2011 to a 2013 white Hyundai Elantra may have, quote, critical information. They're not saying anything explicitly about this person being a suspect. Right. And that's what I'm kind of getting at. They're building this story. So Lisa Forward, Lisa Backward says that was the one they found. Or, well, I guess maybe I interpreted that wrong. You might be talking about the one in Eugene, Oregon. But I'm saying they could just be looking at cameras and they could say, well, we know who drove this car. We know who drove that car. What about this one? We don't really know. They might have some information on it. Because clearly, if they did know, let's think through this. If they knew whose car fled the scene, right? If they knew that there was somebody driving a certain make and model of a car, knowing it was one person or it was two person, shortly after that crime, when 4 college kids are brutally stabbed, you're going to tell me they're not going to do random checkpoints maybe if this person might be fleeing the state? Are they not going to be checking people's trunks? I was out my freshman year in college. I went out of state for college for a year or a semester. And when I was coming back, there was some chick who was an escort that had been kidnapped and murdered. And on my way back into my home state, they had a checkpoint checking people's cars because this woman was missing. And so I understand maybe these people weren't missing, but they could still do those type of things. And it just didn't seem like there was any sense of urgency, is how I would say from a 40,000 foot view. There's no sense of urgency. They let this go on for weeks and they don't know who it is. This person could have gotten out of the country, which brings me to my point. For almost a month, Brian Kohberger had time to do what? He could have left immediately. He could have gotten out of the country. He could have sold his car for cash. What does he do instead? He stays there, continues to go to class, doesn't do anything out of the ordinary, and says, you know what? Everybody in the world is going to be looking for this car. Hey, Pops, why don't you fly out here to Pullman and we'll do a cross-country 39-hour road trip in the most wanted car in America. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. And that's just the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. Criminology student or not. You got to get rid of that bias in your head that because he's a criminology student, he shouldn't, or he should know how to do it, or he shouldn't know how to do it, or he tried to outsmart them. Give me a break. That's like crime 101. You don't keep driving your car when it's all over the world news and then go on a cross-country road trip with your father in the height of that. It doesn't make any sense. Sherlock says, why, Birdie, is your chat constantly blocking me with subscriber-only mode? I am a subscriber. It happens all the time now. It's so annoying. That's interesting. It shouldn't block you if you're subscribing. We'll pay attention to that, mods. Sorry. Tina Skullscar says, respect for the hivers and mods and Mr. and Mrs. Birdie for all the time and effort you put in and share with us. Well, thank you all for tuning in each day. Like I said, the hive would be nothing without you all. I appreciate that, Tina. But yeah, I don't know why Brian Koberger would ever do that. Everyone in the world would be looking for that car. So, especially, it doesn't make any sense. This was something that I found on TikTok as I'm kind of getting through this to get to the meat and potatoes of what we're going to be diving into today with Bethany's interview. But this was the Idaho 4 intercoms. It's called a police dispatch. I got this from Truth Idaho 4 over on TikTok. And I had heard this a while ago, but I'm going to play this. I should have the volume up all right. I won't stop it. Just if you can make some crazy stuff out, you can make some crazy stuff out, but it is interesting.
Just a male in a gray shirt, black and gold sweatpants, looked super distraught. What he left up here? His gun on Taylor. I copy.
Moscow units, there's a male subject lost at the PD waiting for an officer.
Moscow 11, copy. You know what it's in reference to?
Call 95.
111.
1349.
Moscow 170.
Go ahead.
I'm en route to the county prosecutor's office.
I copy. Moscow units, there's a front to pick up 2 subjects from the PD, black Subaru Legacy.
We copy.
Break 113 Moscow.
Good.
We had someone call in advising they may have pertinent video footage for you guys. Name and number is in the call.
We copy.
1405. Moscow units. This is out front of the PD.
70, copy.
1460.
Moscow 167, you can show me on King Road.
Copy. Break 102 Moscow.
I don't think he's on radio.
Copy. Break 113 Moscow.
Go ahead.
Crime 2 News is calling advising they have a reporter in the area, wondering if someone would be able to talk to her. Do you want me to tell them that they need to wait for a phone call, or would someone be available to head out there?
I already talked to her. You can tell them she's been talked to.
I copy. Thank you.
Moscow 46, I'll be back around to the scene.
1515.
Moscow 46 up. 7713. Go for 77. You can tell him to cancel his release. I couldn't copy 13. We no longer need him to release 171.
So that was a short clip. That was all that I was able to get. Again, that's from Truth Idaho 4 over on TikTok. I can't be the only one thinking 2 things. One, it's so weird that that's redacted. They're talking about pertinent camera footage. They're talking about news reporters who want to talk to them. And also, this is 2022, and it sounds like their radio is like the Dane Cook Burger King joke, if you've ever heard that, where he pulls up to the drive-thru. He's like, "Can I get a Whopper? Can I get a Whopper with no pickles, no onion?" I don't know how any cops, if their life's on the line, if there's a giant emergency, can understand a damn thing. I've listened to tons of dispatch stuff. I can't ever understand it. How does that happen? They can't even understand it. They're like, I did not get a good copy. I don't get it. And so that's weird. It's like how we made a phone call from the moon on a landline back in whatever the 60s. And we can't even use a wireless cell phone now on an airplane at a commercial jet because that's not possible. Can't even get Wi-Fi. But they were making phone calls, crystal clear audio to the Oval Office. Prank. All right, moving on. Okay, this also, I am so sorry. There was somebody who sent me a TikTok message with this video clip. I just screenshotted this video clip on the left. Do you guys remember the Minnesota Catholic school shooting? So Aaron Cohen, he's starting Gideon, and it's America's first ever AI threat detection platform built for law enforcement. It is scraping the internet 24/7 using Israeli grade technology that can essentially predict crime and threatening behavior. Thought this was a little bit weird. This is more for the tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist people in the crowd. But if you remember, what was written on Dylan's arm, I went ahead and I put some filters on Dylan's arm with the handwriting. A lot of people have speculated that it says Gideon, but it is a little bit weird that there's a lot of funding for WSU for predictive criminal behavior. They talk about AI a lot, and it's the same name. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys this. Take the comments down. So there's no audio, but I just put a couple different filters on it. So like this one's probably the best. What does that say? And what would that appear from? Because remember how we said it a few times when we were watching the original 911 body cam when they showed up to the scene, it was like Dylan's hands looked all off-white and miscolored. Well, clearly they've done something to hide this, is my opinion. I don't think that it's because her hands were soaked with bleach. I think that given how much other camera redactions and camera blurring there was, I think that that's what we were seeing. Gideon wins. Huh. Well, I'm not going to spend too much time on that just because I got a lot of other stuff to go through. But that, again, kind of scratches that conspiracy itch of you want to look at it from, okay, why are they putting narratives a certain way that they are? Why are they using AI to absolutely scrape the internet 24/7? No, you're not going to scrape our internet. And then it's like, well, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. But I'm going to bitch about it in the meantime because we're probably already too deep into the flytrap's mouth to ever get out. We're never going to vote our way out of this. That's not a call to violence. It's just look at history. Nobody ever votes their way out of oppression. Unfortunately, heads have to roll. And I'm not saying that that's what I want by any means. I don't want violence. I think war is a thing of the past. We should be past it. But nobody ever votes their way out of oppression. Now, I have, in the next few slides, a handful of clips that I think you guys are going to find rather interesting. I did put subtitles on these. Okay, so I did put subtitles on these because I think it's important. I'll play this a few times. I'll make this full screen for everybody. This is, I can't remember now. Is this Officer Gunderson or is this Snyder? I can't remember off the top of my head. I should have labeled it. But let's listen to this.
Did they tell you anything? Get much less about it. Oh, yeah, mercy work. Yeah, mercy work. Yeah, mercy work. Yeah, mercy work. In the main room. This is one of the. Pretty much they were in the main room. I heard them dancing and laughing. Haley went upstairs and she screamed because someone who never knew she ran downstairs. Because someone who never knew she ran downstairs. Because someone who never knew she ran downstairs. And I kept calling her name and she wouldn't answer. And then I saw the guy. I actually locked it for her. And then I ran downstairs. I actually locked it for her. And then I ran downstairs. I actually locked it for her. And then I ran downstairs. I ran downstairs. I ran downstairs. We don't know what's going on.
Tall guy, masked, about 6 foot, skinny build like a basketball player, she described. Said that he had a just full black mask, see like a ski mask, at about 4. Immediately after, she yelled and said, "There's someone in the house." This girl ran, locked herself in the room. This girl ran, locked herself in the room. This girl ran, locked herself in the room. Could hear a roommate that was upstairs, Kaylee. Somehow she was able to discern that it was Kaylee screaming. People in the house. Firecracker. Okay, so it could have been a pistol involved. Okay, so it could have been a pistol involved. Okay, so it could have been a pistol involved. Start the search warrant right now. Okay. And then the last calls through, this is the timestamp pretty good. Right after it happened. So at 4:21, 4:22, 4:30, she made these phone calls immediately after the bang. Immediately after the bang. Immediately after the bang.
So I'm gonna play that again. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit just because if I gave anybody a heart attack or blew out your eardrums, my bad. Usually it's too quiet that even when that started, I had the pucker factor happen. I was like, shit. So a couple things that I wanted to talk about right away in the beginning. I swear you hear he took Murphy to work, which was weird because it's from somebody in the background, right? It's not Dylan. Now, I want to point out this entire progression that we're hearing play out. This is what is said at the scene. This should hold more weight, everybody. This video should 100% hold more weight than any PCA, than any court document in what was said, because this is what is said on camera. You can see who is saying it. You can see the context around it. This is where we need to go and look. So I'm like going back through all this body cam last night, and I'm like, I swear to God, I just heard Murphy's name. And then I started listening to Dylan's story. Now, this is not something that I say lightly because I know how serious it is. Dylan should have been in handcuffs and detained, at least. The story doesn't make any sense. Right away, if I was the officer, I would say, because when she got to questioning, she say that she was asleep, she was in bed, she heard it, she opened her door, she saw the man. No, here you can hear them say twice. Once, Dylan says this. Then secondly, the cop repeats what she said. So how does Dylan see Kaylee run upstairs or run downstairs? And did you notice it says, Kaylee yelled, "Someone's in the room." Someone's in the room. Ran downstairs. Then Dylan says, I actually locked the door and I ran downstairs. I actually locked the door and I ran downstairs. You locked what door? Now, is she combining events very quickly where she had ran into her room, locked her door, waited for a few minutes, called everybody, then ran downstairs? No, I don't think that that's what it sounds like given the context. It sounds like she locked a door and then ran downstairs. I actually locked the door and I ran downstairs. But then you listen to Snyder say she almost made it sound like Dylan yelled, "Someone's in the house," and ran down. So I'm going to play this again and just we'll recap again, but I'll try to not stop it during this.
Did they tell you anything? Get much last about it. Yes, Mercy work. Yes, Mercy work. Yes, Mercy work. Yes, Mercy work. In the main room.
This is one of the.
Pretty much they were in the main room. I heard them dancing and laughing. Kaylee went upstairs and she screamed because someone from the room should have ran downstairs. Because someone from the room should have ran downstairs. Because someone from the room.
Okay. Actually, I lied. Okay. Sorry. I got to stop it because I want to talk about this. How if we look at the layout of the house, okay, let me pull this up. Where's that damn dollhouse? Here we go. All right. Okay. So this is what I'm so confused about. This might not even be the best angle, but it's like if you're seeing this happen where she runs up the stairs, like, do you understand? It goes up and then it goes up the other way. So it's an L, right? It's an L-shaped staircase. So, right, if we go up, boom, and then it would technically be coming up like right here. Okay. I don't understand how it would ever be seen. And she can clearly hear someone's in the room.
Because someone from the room ran downstairs. Because someone from the room ran downstairs. Because someone from the room ran downstairs. And I kept calling her name and she wouldn't answer. And then I saw the guy. And I chalked it for her. And then I ran downstairs. And I chalked it for her. And then I ran downstairs. And I chalked it for her. And then I ran downstairs. And I ran downstairs.
So how does that make sense? Because the way that I'm hearing it play out, if we were to take it literally, she says that Kaylee says there's someone in the room and she runs down the stairs. There's someone in the room, she runs downstairs. So that sounds to me like Dylan is seeing it. Because then she's saying, right after I saw the guy, I locked the door and I ran downstairs. So there's got to be something that we're missing where this was transpiring. I actually locked the door and ran downstairs. I can't actually even comprehend it in my head because is there a better layout? Maybe this one. I mean, even that's blurry as shit. But so she ran downstairs. So she's going to have to run by her room. She's going to have to run by the room. There's someone in the room. And even if it is true, right, that's all I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying to picture, and I think that's accurate, Miss Anand. Yeah, why not? I'm trying to picture out how this would be happening in that chaotic of a moment. If your roommate went upstairs and turned around and screamed, there's someone in the room, and ran downstairs, and you saw the guy, and then you locked the door and you ran downstairs, what does that mean? There's a terrifying moment that clearly nobody knows who it is and nobody knows what's going on. Damn it. Where did that go? Sorry. I thought I dropped my phone. So again, it's weird. I'll let this continue to play. I'm going to start over one more time, then I won't stop it. I won't stop it this time. But you guys can pick out the discrepancies. It's wild.
They tell you anything? Get much stuff about it. Here's mercy work. Here's mercy work. Here's mercy work. Here's mercy work. In the main room. This is one of the. Pretty much they were in the main room. I heard them dancing and laughing. Haley went upstairs and she screamed because someone from the room she ran downstairs. Because someone from the room she ran downstairs. Because someone from the room she ran downstairs. And I kept calling her name and she wouldn't answer. And then I saw the guy. And I swapped it for her. And then I ran downstairs. And I swapped it for her. And then I ran downstairs. And I swapped it for her. And then I ran downstairs.
That is such a good point, Diana. So we're acting as if this is only Kaylee and Dylan in the house. Isn't everybody else home at this point? Wouldn't Maddie be yelling or awake if it was that chaotic? Wouldn't you think Xana and Ethan would at least pop their heads out? We're acting as if this is only Kaylee and Dylan home, but it's not. Everybody's home. Allegedly, everybody's home.
We don't know what's going on.
Tall guy, masked, about 6 foot, skinny build like a basketball player, she described. Said that he had a just full black mask, see like a ski mask, at about 4. Immediately after, she yelled and said, "There's someone in the house." This girl ran, locked herself in a room. This girl ran, locked herself in a room. This girl ran, locked herself in a room.
Doesn't that sound like he's referring to Dylan, who said there's someone in the house, ran, locked herself in the room? Or either way, if it's Kaylee, well then, how do they know that they locked them in the room? There's just gaps, is my whole point. Not anything that we don't know at this point, but
could hear a roommate that was upstairs, Kaylee. Somehow she was able to discern that it was Kaylee screaming. They called it a firecracker.
Okay, so it could have been a pistol involved. Okay, so it could have been a pistol involved. Okay, so it could have been a pistol involved.
Start the search warrant right now.
Okay. And then the last calls for you, this is the timestamp because right after it happened, so at 4:21, 4:22, 4:30, she made these phone calls immediately after the bang. Immediately after the bang. Immediately after the bang.
Now, one thing that I wanted to point out is clearly this is something that they decided internally that they were going to go away from the language of the word bang and they were going to use the word thud. Because if you say bang, that would lead most people, I would guess, to say there was a firearm involved. But they said thud, which is right after when they say the barking starts. And now when we listen to these other interviews after the fact, right, you can hear them continue to describe this firecracker bang, the light, the flash. There's no thud. I would be shocked if I surveyed 100 people. You know what? I'm going to up that. I would survey 1,000 people and I would say, describe the noise that a gun makes. I don't even think one person would say thud. Does anybody think that they would say thud? Out of 1,000 people, who here would describe a firearm going off as a thud? No. People are going to say a bang, a snap, a pop, a boom. They would never say it was a thud. No. I'd even up that survey test group to 10,000. 10,000, I don't even think there'd probably be no way. And then if you were to, I don't understand it at all. The purple one, 3121, says, Merry Christmas, Birdie and chat. Hope everyone enjoyed the holiday with people you love. Wishing everyone a prosperous new year. Well, right back at you, the purple one. Thank you so much for the super chat. I hope everybody had a great Christmas as well. Yeah, pop, bang. No way. No way. Now, I have a short clip as a little bit of a teaser before I go and we go into the entirety of Bethany Funk's interview on November 13th. Now, this is what my ears heard. I don't have captions on the log interview. I just did this little clip because what I think would be very helpful to do is we should go and listen to the timelines and we should label, and I'm down to do this live. If you guys want to do this as a live dig, type a 1 after I describe this, because what I think would be interesting is we'll put Bethany's name at the top of like a map of Moscow. And we could say, they walked over to Sigma Chi at whatever, 8:30. It was her, Ethan, Xana, Maddie. Maddie left, went to go meet Kaylee to go to the club. Then Bethany left, stopped at a friend's house for about 40 minutes, then went home and got there around 1. Jenna and Dylan are watching Vampire Diaries. And it would just be interesting to look at like the scatter points of what individual stories would be and then overlay them almost. And overlay timelines given people that were actually there. Not the curated, neat timeline that we see in the documents. Because yes, it might take some time. But I do believe that to what Sherlock said, which I think Sherlock is brilliant when it comes to the timeline stuff. And I've been motivated to really look into the timeline, because if we don't have that, we really can only guess. When you have the time and you can break down how long does it take to travel somewhere? Well, how long would this take? Why would they only be there for this amount of time? So many other theories can emerge from that. So I do think that that's something that we should do. And I mean, we can even do it with Jenna, with Emily, and there's a couple other people. And then we could even do it with the PCA. That would be interesting. The final one that we could do, we could overlay the PCA and we could see how well does it line up. Yep. All right, so let's check this out. I'm not going to say anything. You guys tell me if this is what you hear as well.
That's fine. And does it live with you guys too, or just with
Just a friend.
Okay.
And then she left.
Well, do you know what time she left at?
12.
Did she say 12? Because that's what I heard right away. And I thought, hold on. If she says it, again, we're going off of, we could barely hear this shit. It's, again, the whole Whopper, no pickles, no onions audio. And if it was 12, do you guys understand that could just be her messing up? It's hard to understand. Yeah, 11, 12, 11 or 12, 12. You definitely hear the TW, and it doesn't sound like 2. You almost hear a V at the end too. And why do I say that? Well, if Bethany claims that she got home at 1 and Jenna and Dylan were watching Vampire Diaries on the couch, how would she leave at 12? So in my head, I started thinking, do you guys remember the new Grub Truck footage that has the girls walking across the street? I'm thinking out loud. Nobody get their panties in a bunch here, but I'm thinking out loud, and I go, what if the time on that grainy ass Grub Truck footage that we see Jack and Kaylee and Maddie walking to the Grub Truck, what if the time is right, but the date is wrong? Like, what if it is 9:40? Because they walked over to Sigma Chi at like 8:30, which is also very interesting because Dylan's story then of people being home, getting ready, Kaylee's not with them. So who were the girls that Kaylee was with in that time frame where Dylan is submitting an assignment? So Kaylee's by herself with only Dylan in the house at that point. And if Maddie left Sigma Chi to go meet Kaylee at the grub truck, who's to say that they didn't stop and eat first? Go to the corner club. I've just said that these timestamps mess with your perception, and that's why it is essential to listen to these before we look. I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to challenge myself that I will just listen to the interviews and make the notes before I listen or watch any other timestamp footage, because I want to hear what they say and I want to estimate that timeout. And then I can go to that video footage and I can just look up what the supposed timestamp should be. Right. And totally random, but I thought that this would be kind of, if anybody's looking for some like New Year's inspiration, I'm doing a fast from Sunday, January 4th to Wednesday, January 7th. And I'm going to have to keep my mind off of not eating and snacking. So I'm going to be diving into all these interviews during that time. And if you guys don't regularly fast or fast at least once a year, promise this isn't turning into a cult where the Hive cult starts to fast and maybe we go buy a plot of land somewhere and we all get rid of our social security numbers and we get rid of our birth certificates. And no, we probably shouldn't even joke about that, right? Drew Bledsoe says, Birdie, call me later. We'll chat. Say Merry Christmas to each other. Later presents. I can call you tomorrow. I'm going to have to head out to my wife's family's Christmas today. But yes, let's connect. Let's connect. Let's listen to this one more time, then we'll get into the full thing.
That's fine. And does it live with you guys too, or just visit?
Just a friend.
Okay.
And then she left.
Well, do you know what time she left at?
I have tambourines. Drop the top dog award. All right, let's listen to this full thing now. So what I did on this is I enhanced the audio. I put a crystal clear filter on it. I have this unlisted on YouTube. If you guys want this published, just let me know. Sometimes when I edit this, I'd rather just do it on YouTube. I feel like it plays better. Uh-oh, am I back? All right, I'm back. It was because I mentioned the word cult, probably. All right, let's check this out. This is 21 minutes. And you know what? Before I play this, I know that there's one woman in here that absolutely hates when I announce that I have to pee, but I have to pee. So don't go anywhere. Just hit that likes. When I get back, let's have all 700, all right? I will leave you with... This is a good one.
Hey man, how the hell you doing? I've been just fine, living life with the new sand in my mind. All I hear is music, watching your mouth move.
All right, I'm back. You know that I constantly am probably hyping my wife, but it's easy to do. I walk out there and she's like, "Hey," she's like, "Do you want a beer?" I'm like, "You know what? I think I do want a beer." Cracked Coors Banquet. Don't know why it's a tall boy or why it's Coors Banquet, but when your wife offers you a beer, I don't know if you can ever say no. And quite the nice surprise. And it's past noon. It's a Saturday, so we're going to Christmas. Give me a break. I gotta go spend some time with the in-laws. Just kidding. I love my in-laws. All right. Let's watch this, shall we?
So we're gonna kind of go back and tell you a little bit of the timeline, okay? So what did you guys do last night? More specifically, if you were by yourself and not with a group?
So this part's redacted.
Ethan was in the house, so Stella.
So you're with
One of them is my roommates, and one of them is her boyfriend.
Okay. So you're with Ethan
And Xana.
Xana?
Mm-hmm.
Can you spell that for me?
Xany. Or ANA, sorry.
XANA. Okay. Okay. So I'm just trying to. Sometimes it helps you put names together.
Okay.
So you were with Ethan and Xana last night, right?
Yeah.
And do you know Ethan's last name?
Chicken. I don't know how to spell it.
That's fine. And Xana's last name?
Kernel.
Do you know spell it?
I think it's KERNO. Maybe another ODLE or something like that.
Okay. Okay, so you're within the six. What time did you guys get the second guys up to?
Around 8 something. Maybe 8:30.
So 8:30 p.m.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
That is one thing that drives me up a damn wall listening to these interviews. She says around 8 something, and he goes, so 8:30 p.m. I don't know why. It's a common theme. It's this subtle like solidification, or they're solidifying it subtly, because around 8 something, it could be 8:05, 8:07. No, so 8:30. That's wild to me.
And prior to that, were you guys just at your house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you left from your house.
And was that formal? Because he went with his sister because she didn't have a date. And then we were just hanging out at our house. And then he came over and we all walked over together.
Okay, so that was you, Ethan, Xana. Was there another person with you? Or just the three people
Maddie walked over with us.
Okay, and that's
Logan.
Logan?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Maddie?
Her real name is Madison, though, I believe.
Okay. So you guys all walked over to. You were there about 8:30. Okay. Were you guys all pretty much together, or just kind of mingling throughout the house most of the night?
We were all pretty much together, and then Maddie left to go to the club with Kaylee. And then I was with Ethan and Xana most of the night, but then one of my friends came. Her name is Dee, and I hung out with her the rest of the night.
Okay. And who was that?
That is weird. This, yeah. So what I have written down here, I'm taking notes. I know it's small up in the corner, but I'm taking notes. So Ethan was at formal with his sister. The girls are all at the house. Ethan then arrives, and then Maddie, Ethan, Xana, and Bethany walk to Sigma Chi at 8:30. Maddie left to go to the club with Kaylee. And It's all weird.
Yes.
Can you spell it for him? Okay. And his last name?
I don't know how to pronounce it, and her full name is bigger than that.
Okay, that's fine. You have a phone number for her?
Yeah.
Send your phone.
I went to go hang out with my friend, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name, and her first name is bigger than that. What?
You can get that. Okay, so you were with,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point, Ethan and Anna were just kind of hanging out still at the house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I went to our other friend's house.
Okay. What time was that at?
I don't know, maybe like 12-ish. But that could be wrong.
No, it's fine. Okay. And where's that house?
It's just like up the street. I don't know that address.
Okay, up the street from
Sigma Chi.
Okay.
Kind of.
So you guys are at Sigma Chi, so you're walking back towards.
We walked back towards my house and then went up this way.
So like when you got to Taylor Street, you went up? So if you walked all the way from Sigma News.
Or
Sigma Chi, sorry.
Yeah. You know the apartments, the whites?
Yep, I know the whites.
It's like that straight that way.
So on Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know roughly where on Taylor? Or does she live maybe one of the other off streets?
It's on Taylor, but it's like one of the end houses by the nurse. I don't know how to explain it.
All right. Okay. And whose house is it that you went to?
It's, and I don't know their other roommate.
And
I'm going to try to get the subtitles. Can I put the location on somewhere? Options. Where can I put that? I could have. Can I move the subtitles up? Because I want to be able to put the comments on the screen without. Well. Oh, there we go. Nice.
okay. All right. So you're at this house. How long were you here?
Maybe like 40 minutes.
Okay.
And then I left by myself and went back to my house.
So you walked home maybe around 1-ish?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you see when you got home?
Me. Okay. We're sitting on the couch watching Vampire Diaries. And no one else was home yet.
Okay. And it's another roommate or what's his last name?
She's a nothing.
Oh, okay. And
I actually don't remember her last name right now.
that's fine. And does it live with you guys too, or just
She's
visiting?
a friend.
Okay.
And then she left.
Do you know what time she left at?
No.
Okay. But you were all watching.
Vampire Diaries.
Okay. And anything happened during that time period?
We were just hanging out.
Okay. Do you know who else was in the house at that time?
No one.
No one? Just the three of you? Okay. So, what? Let's go a little bit more then. What happened next?
Maddie and Kaylee came home from the club. Left.
Maddie and who?
Kaylee.
Kaylee? Okay. And they got home from the club. You know what time that might have been?
I think I told one of the cops that was talking to me at the house, like, better times.
Okay.
I don't really remember right now. Maybe like 2 something, 1.
So if you got home around 1, that would have put them
Like
getting
1:45, 2, something like that.
So near bar break? You had to guess?
Right?
Like near bar break?
What does that mean?
Bars normally close at 2 o'clock here.
Oh, yeah. They went to Brock Truck after, so
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. What'd you do after that, after Maddie and Kaylee got home?
We all hung out in Kaylee's room for a little. And then talked, and then Maddie and I took Murphy out to pee, the dog. And then I said I was going to go to bed because I'm tired. And she said she was going to go to bed too. And then I went to my room. I was going to sleep. And she came and nodded and asked if I had Murphy. And I said no. And then I went to bed.
Okay. So what time did you think you took Murphy out?
Probably like 2:30.
2:30 to 3?
Yeah.
Okay. And where do you normally take Murphy to go about it?
Just the back door.
Okay. So which one is 1122? So
Okay. I've seen some comments that are like, this is not how, questioning would go. I tend to agree. I know people are going to have a difference in opinion on that, which is fine. This part right here, to me, if there's ever a giveaway on either playing immensely stupid as a police officer or trying to bait them, it could be that, or this is completely shifting and solidifying a narrative and guiding and coaching where the answers should go. So listen to this. This guy doesn't even know which one 1122 is, but now listen to the details that come out of this man's mouth.
Okay. So which one is 1122? So if I'm coming up King Road off of Taylor.
It's the big white house.
All the way to the very top on the right?
Well, it's technically on Queen, but the address is King.
Okay. So is it the one that's tucked back as you're going up to 500 Clean Road? Those big apartments? It's kind of back just a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you normally go out the back deck then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I know that Cheshire then.
So for not even knowing which one's 1122 to then knowing that there's a sliding back door that leads to the back deck. Come on.
Okay, so you go there. You and Maddie take the dog out.
Mm-hmm.
And then how long did that to?
I was out there for maybe like 10 seconds.
Okay.
10 seconds. 10 seconds, and you just said 2:30 to 3, and you made it this point that you and Maddie let the dog out. Given everything else, you're able to remember that 10-second detail. You're able to say, I walked out and then I went back in because I was freezing. I went to bed, grabbed chips, went downstairs, turned on this TV show, and you could lay out all of that. Yeah, no, something's not right.
Okay. So then you both come back in. So you and Maddie
I
both come
came
back
in
in.
before she did.
Okay. Did Maddie still have the dog then?
Yes, I think so.
So you went out for a little bit, came back in.
10 seconds.
Do you know what time Maddie came back in?
Mm-hmm.
And you went straight to bed when you came back in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How long after you went to bed do you think Maddie came?
Actually, I came in, grabbed some chips, went to my room, and watched the show for a little, and then I went to bed.
What were you watching?
It's called Baby Daddy.
Okay. How long do you think you watched it?
Maybe like 30 years.
So one episode maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like a half.
Okay. And did Maddie come in during that show or after?
She just knocked on my door, I think, during and asked if I had Murphy, and I said no.
Okay. Then what happened after that?
I just went to bed, and then I woke up, but I was like half asleep, and I thought I saw like a firework or something, like it just sparkled like under my door, and I thought I heard like something kind of fall, and then Murphy barked, but I thought people were just making.
You know, I saw a comment. I do think maybe it's important to acknowledge it, because one of the things that I try to do is not just, I guess, impose my theory on it, but Bo Burrell says, I understand the misspelling Xana's last name. Bethany's in genuine shock. Everybody has their own read on human behavior, right? And at the end of the day, we're not in her head. However, when I take my opinion on that is when I take in the outside surrounding factors, I feel as if the cop is solidifying things that should have more digging, more. I'm going to come back to that and see if you change your answer. I'm going to make sure that this detail remains constant, right? And I don't feel like that's going on. Instead of, we left around 8, so 8:30, right? We let the dog out between 3 and 3:30, so 2:33. There's just little things that seem off.
Like food, like, and Ethan was here or something and got something over because he's usually loud in the kitchen upstairs.
Okay. So what do you mean by you heard a firework?
It sounded like a little firework, and then there was like a spark. I went by my, I'm on the bottom floor.
Okay.
I'm going to crash out. And you know what? I don't even care. At no point does any police officer say, was it a gun? Do you know what a gunshot sounds like? Who would have fireworks? Is that normal to where your first instinct would be a firework? I could see, oh, there's a prank. You know what? Why don't I actually pull up? I'm going to do this right now just to make this point. Because why don't I just pull up, firecracker pranks? Let's see what people's reactions are. And let's see if they think that it's a prank when it's happening.
Uh-oh.
Did anybody just think, do you think that they thought this was a firework? Listen to that. It sounds like a gunshot. But again, we're just supposed to believe that not one, it's so crazy to me.
So it kind of looked like it came down there, but I don't know.
So is Murphy your dog?
Kaylee's dog.
Kaylee's dog?
Kaylee and her ex-boyfriend's dog.
Okay. So you heard Murphy bark right after you heard what you thought was a firecracker?
Yeah, something like that. But he I don't know, dog.
But again, just remember now, that's a thud. It's the thud and then the barks. When at the scene, you hear Snyder talking to Gundy saying, yeah, they thought it was a firecracker. He goes, well, maybe there was a pistol involved. And right after the bang is when the dog barked. Now we hear this again right after the firecracker, which would equate to a bang. I just played what it would sound like, right? It's going to change into a thud. And what that tells me is that I believe that could be a dead giveaway to audio manipulation, because if they wanted to muffle the sound of a true crack or a snap or a pop or a bang, and they wanted to tone it down or put the pitch down or the pitch up, muddle it, if it's not going to sound like a bang, well, it's going to sound like a thud. And who's to say that all of this footage wasn't done prior in the 30 days while they're looking for Brian Koberger and before or even just before the PCA? Who's to say that? It does not take long to do, right? And I see somebody saying a silencer. From my experience, a silencer, it's nothing like in the movies. It's still loud. It just hides a muzzle flash a little bit better. And you would 100% pick it up through a cardboard house. It's not like a James Bond thing at all in real life.
Random things. Sometimes when he's happy, apart.
Any consumer ones, at least. I don't know about high-tech military grade shit, but.
Okay. It didn't sound like an angry growl or anything like that, just a bark?
I don't really know. I was like half asleep.
Okay.
It just sounded like bark.
So, hear the firework. Kind of see a spark underneath the door. Murphy barks. What'd you hear after that?
Pretty much nothing.
All right. I'm gonna just talk about this and then I won't stop it again. You know, to be fair, not everyone's familiar with what a gunshot sound like. I find that hard to believe. Maybe not in person, you don't know, but when you have somebody, you hear the ruckus upstairs, you hear someone's in the house, your other roommates are calling you, 4 people are being quote unquote brutally stabbed. You have a ex-tenant on CNN. And I'm not crashing out on you, Sophie. I'm just saying I don't think that this is not the time to give this overly logical thought process. 4 kids were just found dead and the survivors didn't call for 8 hours. They called their friends before. They should be absolutely pressing them, in my opinion, whether they're familiar with what a gunshot sounds like or not. Right? I mean, it's just, again, if I lit a firecracker off or if I put a gunshot off, I don't know how many people would be able to discern the difference of them, you know? Unless, I get it, you've been around gunshots, but you still hear a loud bang and a loud snap. It would scare the shit out of you. Right? The context of this definitely matters.
That's it.
Okay. And you thought maybe someone was just in the kitchen at that point?
Yeah, just like someone accidentally fell into the table or something.
Okay.
And she was like with Lizzie.
So now, hang on. I said that I wasn't going to stop it. that was a funny noise I just made. But so now there's a firecracker. There's a flash. Somebody just accidentally falls into the table. Guys, what the? Ethan's just this clumsy dumbass that he can't even get food anytime in the house. No, come on. This entire scene is progressing, and it's the most watered down version of the events that give you're playing dumb. You're playing stupid. That's what this is. Come on. Especially when you wake up the next day and they're all dead. You're going to say, well, I'm sure somebody just accidentally fell into the table. I don't know.
Well, about what time that might have been? Do you have any idea?
4 or something. I tried to call all at like 4:20ish around that time, and no one was answering. I thought they just went to bed or something.
Okay. What happened after that?
And called me. She said she thinks she saw someone, and I didn't know like really what to think of it, because sometimes we think we hear things a lot in the house, but it's usually just Ethan walking around. But she came. I told her to come to my room, and she could sleep with me, and we could lock the door, just stay in there just in case there wasn't anything. And that's all I know.
Okay.
I just fell back asleep.
You didn't hear anything else?
Mm-hmm.
And no one else talking?
Didn't hear something.
Okay. Did you make it to your room then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What time do you think she got in your room?
Around like 4:20, 4:30.
Okay, about the same time.
Yeah.
Where's her room located to yours?
I'm the only one on the bottom floor, right by the front door.
Okay.
And then you go up the stairs, and Grandma's room, and Grandma's room, the kitchen, and then upstairs is Maddie and Katie's room.
Okay. And where's Mojo?
Right by the kitchen.
Right by the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did she say anything to you when she got into the room?
She said she thought she saw a man, but I didn't know what to think of it. I was like, still half asleep, and I was like, I didn't know what to do. I don't know. It didn't sound like I didn't hear screams, I didn't hear anything. I didn't really know.
Okay.
I didn't hear screams. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear screams. I didn't hear anything. I just can't wrap my head around that.
And notice that she didn't say anything more than she just saw someone.
Yeah, that's all I remember her saying.
Yeah, but that's such a good point, Christie's Chaos. Good to see you. And yeah, but you heard someone fall into the table, and it's just big old Ethan, just the bull in the china shop. He's always accidentally falling into tables and lighting off firecrackers in the house. Also, let me pause. If you thought it was a firecracker and you thought it was a prank, why are you scared then? Right? Let's think through this. This would probably be my line of questioning. I would say, so didn't you want to go see who's lighting off a firecracker in your house? Would any of your roommates do that? Would Ethan do that? Is this a regular practice? And is it a regular practice for you to hear a firecracker pop off in your house and you see a flash, which doesn't even make sense logistically of the house layout unless it maybe happened downstairs or on the stairwell, but you don't think to yourself, because you say you're half asleep, but you just grab chips, you watch the half of an episode of Baby Daddy, Dylan's calling you, and neither of you guys are saying, who the hell is lighting off a firecracker? Wouldn't you go out, maybe if you're truly not scared, wouldn't you be going out and saying like, what are we doing out here? What's going on, guys? Right? I don't get it. Not that even that you'd have to be pissed about it. It could be funny, but wouldn't you at least be curious if you? So.
Okay. So your bed then, if I'm looking at the right house, you have a parking lot, front door, and your bedroom's just to the right. Okay.
Front door, parking lot, bedrooms just to the right. Front door, parking lot, bedroom is just to the right. Is there any other way to describe it other than that one? Or am I missing out on something? Because if that's the truth, and there was a pew pew on the stairwell, well, then the light flickering under the door, if the lights are off down here, the muzzle flash could absolutely light up a hallway. Go listen to some Vietnam vets on a podcast about combat when they're in the pitch black triple canopy jungles. Go listen to John Stryker Meyer talk about how precise and accurate you had to be with your timing of when you were going to shoot your M16, because the muzzle flash would make it look like daylight in pitch black. So you know that any gun would light up a hallway, and that would make sense.
And that's where you slept from by the time you finally got into your room around 4-ish or so. Actually, before that.
So you got in your room around 4-ish. No, 3 something.
So you were in there sleeping. Okay. Dylan got to your room maybe somewhere around 4:20-ish, but Dylan was already home at that point. You knew that Maddie and Kaylee were home. Do you know when anyone else in the house got home?
I don't know when Xana or Eva got home. I didn't hear them come in or anything.
And that's the big lie, folks, right there. The big lie is that Xana and Ethan were home. Go listen to Dylan's interview. They were not all home. Not one person saw or can put Xana and Ethan inside of 1122. Unless I'm missing something and I'm having a complete brain fart, I am 99% sure that nobody says crystal clearly would know when they got home. Yet technically, Bethany, you might be the last roommate to see them alive before you left Greek Row, Sigma Chi. Right. And if the lights are on, yes, okay, whatever. You guys get my point. I was saying if it was dark, right? Bondage Barbie. I mean, Bondage Barbie, Christ. I said that a little bit slow and then I said it out loud. That's like when somebody's like, is there a Hugh or what's a funny one? Is there a Jack Mehoff in here? Is there a Jack Mehoff in here? That's what that was like.
Okay. And last time you saw Xana and Ethan was at the cinema guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So did you see anything weird at the party there at this?
Just a little.
Okay. And seems how the way that they're set up, where everyone hanging out primarily up in the main common room area, where most people hanging out in individual rooms and stuff like that.
It was a little bit of a mixture at first. It was in the like apartments, and then it was the main room.
Okay. Yeah.
And then as I was leaving,
Wait, did you guys just hear that? So I've wondered for a very long time. I'm going to replay this. I'm going to bite my tongue a little bit before I say this, actually. Let me just listen again.
it was a little bit of a mixture at first. It was in the like apartments, and then it was the main room.
Okay. Yeah.
Right there. Is there a second person in the room? And tell me that this doesn't sound very similar to when that other guy is in the room and he's talking to is it Emily? And they're like, wow, that's very specific. And he's like, yeah. Or they were talking about who was he talking to? Was this a second interview with Bethany? It sounds like that guy. Doesn't that sound like there's two guys in the room where he goes, yeah. Listen.
Individual rooms and stuff like that.
It was a little bit of a mixture at first. It was in the like apartments, and then it was the main room.
Right here.
Okay. Yeah.
And then as I was leaving, I wanted to grab a backpack.
Yeah.
And then it was in the like apartments, and then it was the main room.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
It's a second voice. That's a different person. It sounds exactly like the other detective that we've seen in other interviews. And also, I've wondered for a very, very, very long time if they are blurred out, not because this isn't the time that the interview happened, but if they're blurred out, not because of maybe body language. What if the audio is dubbed? It would not be hard to splice two audio files, right? It's a stretch, but guys, if you're going to cover it up, they clearly don't care about covering up this crime. They care about covering up the message it would expose that was being sent. To me, that absolutely sounds like that other detective's name or that other detective's voice.
Like apartments, and then it was the main room.
Okay. Yeah.
And then as I was leaving, I wanted to grab a backpack from our friend's room, and Xana and Ethan were sitting on the couch just listening to music.
Okay. And that was up in the main room, or that was in
That was in an apartment.
Like in an apartment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you hear of anything that happened to anybody?
Mm-mm.
Was there anyone strange or odd hanging around the party?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Do you know of anybody in your house that has an issue with anyone?
Oh.
Okay, any ex-boyfriends, anything like that?
Mm-hmm. All their ex-boyfriends were really nice, and they're still like good friends.
Okay. Have you ever had any of your roommates complain about anyone stalking them?
Mm-mm. Once though, Kaylee said when everyone was like gone, me and were at the sorority house for a meeting, and it was only Kaylee, and she was taking Murphy out. This was a while ago. Then she said she swears she saw someone staring at her while she was taking the dog out to pee from the
How long
backyard.
ago that was?
Maybe like a month. She can see like a man's silhouette like staring at her.
You think it was about a month ago?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I've always wondered about that interaction and how they've really said there's no proof of the stalking. Well, my question is, and this is for the females in the hive, if you were out walking your dog and you saw some creepy guy staring at you, if this was only brought up one time and you never brought it up any other time previously, and now you're dead, you couldn't necessarily tell people that it happened previously, would you assume that that one interaction is a stalker? When I think of a stalker, I think of over confrontation. Like, you're clearly aware that you're being followed all of the time, right? I think that the stalker aspect of it, that doesn't seem like, if you had a weird, creepy guy staring at you one time, I mean, I don't know if I'd go into like a stalker mode unless it's happened, sometime before. And maybe she did have a stalker, right? Maybe she did. And she finally told them, like, oh shit, I just saw the guy that's been following me. He was right here this time, right? It doesn't feel like that one interaction would lead to the word stalking.
Did King have any issues with him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. None of them have made any comments or statements of anyone trying to come onto them or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you said that all of the ex-boyfriends and that, they're all normally very nice and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Are any of them fairly recent breakups?
One, but
Like I said, that'd be a little bit help. Okay. Can you give me a little information on that one?
his name's he lives
Like,
down the street.
on Taylor?
On King, I think.
Okay.
And he and Kaylee share Murphy,
Okay.
and they dated for 7 years.
And that's in Kaylee?
Mm-hmm. Or something like that.
And they did it for 7 years?
Something like that. Since high school. Their families are really close too.
Okay. And they shared Murphy?
Mm-hmm. I think.
Okay. How long did they break up?
Maybe like 3 months or something. But they're still on really good terms.
Do you know why they broke up?
She was gonna move to Texas.
Where's Kaylee from?
Portland.
Okay. Where is it from?
Portland.
Okay. Okay. You said that they're still on good terms, they still talk to each other?
Yeah.
Okay. Has Kaylee been seeing anyone else lately?
Not really that I know of.
Okay. Do you know when she was going to move to Texas?
After this month. But then apparently she wasn't going to anymore. I don't know.
That part's always tripped me up. She was going to move after the semester. Apparently she wasn't going to anymore. Kaylee's mom in the beginning said that it was weird that Kaylee's bed was untouched and that she was in Maddie's bed. I have a couple of points on that I'll make here towards the end of the stream. I'll leave you guys with a couple, thoughts before I end this. I'm not going anywhere soon per se, but we can have an open discussion about it.
Do you know what changed your mind?
I think she wanted to stay here with all of us.
Okay. Is there anything else you think is important for me to know? And you might remember things later. That's very much very normal, okay? If you think you remember anything else, please reach back out to us. And we'll bring you back in and we'll get that information, okay? Then go back.
So, all right. I got a couple of questions. One, I still think that it definitely sounds like, yeah, it's right to the right here, you know, for her room, how she described it. But one of the things that I really want to talk through now, and this is one of my favorite things to do with the Hive, is just, you know, we can have an open discussion, or I'll put, you know, a bunch of comments up on the screen, is let's think through a couple of things. One, we've seen the autopsies. We know that they have defensive wounds. We know that Xana fought really hard right above Bethany's head. And she didn't hear any screaming. She didn't hear a ruckus, but she heard Ethan crash into the table accidentally. She heard a firecracker, but didn't hear screams. I don't think that any detective worth their badge wouldn't have pressed on that. And I'm sorry, you don't have to be a detective to know that, right? So we have a quadruple homicide with very brutal autopsies. Blood would be everywhere. Presumably a big struggle with defense wounds. And the smoking gun, as far as proof that it happened in the house, is a sheath with trace DNA, a blurry car that's taken with a potato, and one latent shoe print that's not even visible to the naked eye. You need special chemicals under a special lighting. So that's either the fastest and cleanest cleanup of a quadruple homicide in history, or there is something that is so rotten in the official narrative that they don't even care. You're telling me that whoever did this left a singular ghost footprint outside one of the bedrooms, nothing else? No blood-soaked floors that got underneath the laminate? No smudges? No tracks in the hallway? No prints? Are you kidding me? That doesn't happen, guys. So stop. I don't want to just go off because I get everybody's open to their own way of thinking, but I have to also stay true to my own brain. I'm like, we got to stop trying to think that happened, because it wouldn't. Reality and chaos, and with how quick that happened. And at the end of the day, Bethany and Dylan are not in prison. They are not questioned hard. You can say, well, they're being protected by powerful people. I believe that there is an aspect to that to an extent. But when I think they're protected, I think that they're either given immunity. I think that they were somehow lucky to have survived. They weren't home. There is a reason why they're being handled in the way that they are. Or we're not seeing the actual interviews. Or these were manipulated interviews. I don't know. So why? Let's talk about this. Given what I just said, given the fact that we have entire black boxes over rooms that apparently nothing happened in, there's no unredacted crime scene, body cam interviews, nothing like that really. Why would all of the victims be found in bed? Have we ever thought through this? Let's put some up. Let's put some ideas up on the screen here. So, because everybody has speculated, I feel like the majority of people that I've watched have speculated that was the crime scene manipulated? Was it reconstructed? Were the bodies moved? Type of one if you've heard that. just so that we can all get on the same page. Just so people in the chat, maybe if you're new here, type of 1 if you've heard that there's a lot of people that maybe tend to believe bodies were moved after they were killed. Bodies were changed positions to be in bed. Maybe it didn't happen in the house, whatever, right? Different areas of the house. Okay. You've at least heard it. So now I think we have to think logically about, let's go back to their narrative, because I'm going to try, instead of investigating this murder, I want to start to investigate this, what seems to be a performance around the murder. The people, how are they acting? I want to investigate people's behaviors, because we're not going to get unredacted info, really. We're at this point, God knows, they're still writing reports in 2024, end of 2023, right? That's my opinion. But what would be a reason that they really, in their narrative, pushed this, they were all found in bed? Well, okay, so Crystal says it's because they would try to make the narrative they were all asleep in the middle of the night. That's a good point. That could absolutely be a benefit to it as well. And Bammy Rose says they were carried back to that house. Just my opinion. Okay, carried back to the house, potentially. Either way, no matter where they were killed, in the house, but if they were moved, let's think about why they would be in bed and how that is the fastest, that is the most efficient, and that is the easiest way to position the blood flow and control the blood flow, the cleanup, and manipulate the crime scene, is to put them in bed if they were wrapped in a sheet, and then the sheets are all disheveled on a bed, like how you would typically see when you sleep. All of the DNA stays in there. All of the blood, it's not going to leak out as much. That's my thought, where I'm like, why would they all be found in bed? It doesn't seem like that's reasonable. People are running around downstairs. Xana's fighting for the life. I start thinking, I'm like, there's got to be a reason they pushed it. And is it because of that manipulation of the crime scene that this would make sense if they were all asleep and they were in bed, because that's where all the blood is, but they clearly all had defensive wounds. I'm thinking out loud. I'm not saying that I believe this necessarily. This is a thought exercise. This is how my brain works. And if you don't tune in all the time, sometimes people take that and they clip it and they think that I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy, Hive. Maybe a little bit, but. So you got multiple victims in multiple beds in a house that has multiple entry points, but there's a single knife that they never found that did this. There's no signs of restraint or sexual assault officially. Yet we have it come out rather early on that Kaylee's injuries were significantly more brutal. Their means of death didn't match. Their points of damage don't match. Some had more defensive wounds than others. That contradicts right from the jump a single quick blitz attack. If you're killing 4 people silently in their sleep, solo, in under 15 minutes, the wounds would be very consistent. It screams multiple attackers, or at a minimum, a varying emotional trigger or target. And all of that was wiped out. So even if it wasn't that, meaning solo, silent, 15 minutes, well, if their means of death and their wounds don't match, well, then you're at a minimum saying it is targeted and there's a varied emotional aspect to it. And that's just all swiped under the rug. It's maddening how we just forget that. I also think it's weird that Kaylee wasn't in her own bed. Her mom claims that it was untouched. Her and Maddie are in the same bed together. in my opinion, that goes back to what I said every good cover-up has. It's these narrative anchors. It suggests in a way that they were scared, which is, I think, what Steve and Chrissy outside Moscow PD alluded to with the boogeyman, or they were aware of something. I don't think, and again, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but if she hadn't even moved out yet, she wasn't planning on moving till the end of the semester, and we don't get to see the rooms really, but if she was going to end up maybe staying, I don't think you would crawl into someone else's bed unless something had spooked you. Or if somebody else was already in the house. So, and I know there's about to be a comment that comes in and says, well, I sleep with, my girlfriends, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen. Okay, but given all the other oddities. And what I think is also something that is a little bit lesser talked about, maybe not paid attention to as much, are these phone calls to Jack D. I think that we're very, very accepting that this is still proof of life. Earlier in the show, I had referenced that Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie example, where Brian Laundrie is using Gabby's debit card. He's texting her mom off of the phone, making it seem like she's still alive, right? And so Kaylee's making 7 calls to Jack between, was it like 225, 226-ish, 252 is when her phone went silent forever. Maddie adds a call in there. So that's 8 calls in a total of 26 minutes, which they kind of seem to fall in a potential murder window. If this is what I want to know. So if that is that murder window, how was Kaylee yelling, someone's in the room, running downstairs, but then calmly making calls? Okay, that's a timeline contradiction. If somebody was already in the room and they ran downstairs screaming, and if Maddie's making a call and Kaylee's calling 7 times, right? So if they were being followed beforehand, you would think there'd be a text or something like someone's outside. I don't know, but there's someone's in the room. And my hypothesis is that these calls could have been placed after death, similar to the Brian Laundrie situation. And it could have been done to confuse digital timelines or used to establish a certain somebody's alibi. Again, I think to Brian Laundrie. And that certain somebody was ruled out instantly by LE. Why? I also think that I've been trying to really put a bow on all the theories that I've discussed this year as we go into 2026 so that I could look at it with fresh eyes going into next year. I've always thought that the term private party ride is very weird. It's gone from Uber. It's gone to it's one of their friends that drives for Uber, but they've really made it hit home that this is a private party. And I wonder if that's because in the narrative, it makes it non-traceable. It's a ghost vehicle. It's somebody that it's like getting into an unmarked van with no license plate in a way. So we know the supposed driver being Eric Gower. This person has Eric Gower spoken publicly, or did he only ever speak in interview, Hive? Has anybody asked, hey, you're an Uber driver. A lot of Uber drivers, or a lot of people that are private drivers, whatever the hell you want to call them, a lot of them have dash cams to protect themselves for insurance from maybe drunk riders and passengers that get in their car. Do you have that? Do you have a dash cam in your car? Oddly enough, if it's a Prius or whatever car it is, I feel like a lot of people that drive Priuses, whenever I get into an Uber with a Prius specifically, not hating on Priuses, those are the type of people that seem to have them. But I think that person ruled out very quickly. It's not even saying that they're guilty. It's just, I'm thinking through the process. Again, not the murder, but this performance around the murders. And yeah, it sounds like he was only, he supposedly did talk to some reporter. That's why I was curious, but I do believe that interview only is where he gave like any details. Same thing with the Banfield with Hoodie Guy back in the day. It just seems like a lot of them, they were, on the flip side, a very convenient focus. A red herring. And they were a convenient focus. They were a massive focus. They got so much attention, but they were very easily and early on cleared. Why? So that's why I start to wonder when I say the word red herring, were these people used to absorb the digital attention, the online attention? I'm thinking on a scale of a cover-up that would need to go over 3 years now, and nobody knows what the hell happened. So that's my thought. Kaylee's return was unplanned. Nobody knows when Ethan and Xana get home. At all. So you got the Banfield boys, the undercover plainclothes police officers, the white Elantra circling, the calls to Jack D, private driver. Dylan and Bethany don't see or hear shit. There's only a latent shoe print that needs chemicals and special lighting. Trace DNA on a knife sheath. No murder weapon found. No motive. A plea deal that had no business taking a plea deal. Whether you want to say this is legal strategy or chess, it's just dumb that there's so much reasonable doubt you could drown in it. And that's where I go back to my initial point, is that this was, oops, let me go back. It was not just a crime. This was a message, and they care more about covering that message up. Now, one of the things that I thought about, okay, so I want to make sure that I explain this clearly. We know that this was not just some random blitz attack. I feel it in my gut. It's rather obvious that this was not a random blitz attack by anybody who was solo. I think that this was planned out. Multiple weapons, multiple perpetrators. Now, I've always wondered, and as of the more and more video that comes out, especially surrounding the white Elantra, I've wondered, is the white Elantra, is the white vehicle a decoy vehicle? Think through this. If you are planning something and you want to get away with it, are you to say that it's that far of a stretch to not have a decoy vehicle, somebody who may know more information about the crime? As they stated, we're looking for this white Elantra, not because they're the suspect, but they may have more information about the crimes. Is it to say that you wouldn't maybe just necessarily drive around that area, get seen on a couple cameras, drive around that night while the real killers came in on foot? Or I've never really entertained this theory, genuinely, since I've started talking about this case. Maybe it's time to at least discuss it. But if the crime didn't happen inside of 1122, no bodies seen being removed, nobody heard anything, there's just random shit going on, nothing makes sense, you hear screams maybe. I mean, what if, has anybody ever thought if they were kidnapped and taken somewhere else? Has anybody ever thought that maybe the delay for the press conference was to track down where they're at, find their bodies, and the autopsies are real. They just had to say that it happened inside their house, inside the bed. There's so many things that could have happened that it's almost weirder to continue to look at official documents. You can get bits and pieces of truth from the official documents. Bits and pieces of truth. But again, rather than investigating the murder, start investigating the performance around the murder. Because I don't believe that I mean, guys, think about what they really tried to sell us. They sold the world that this was a wannabe serial killer criminology student with autism, visual snow, dexterity issues, walks like Frankenstein's awkward nephew, has never had a history of violence. Oh, and at his community college, he was in Psi Beta that they did an entire thing about the Hidden People Project, which is compassion and caring for people with hidden disabilities. Great student, no history of violence. Don't try to tell me that stealing your sister's freaking iPhone is a precursor to a quadruple homicide. Give me a break. Didn't say a word. It is so far from anything, in my opinion, that reality would look like, because this crime could have happened way different, way earlier, or even later than what we're told. And what would support this? Okay, well, there's really no confirmed time of death until God knows how long later. The roommates claim to not hear anything. That would only make sense if a few things happened. The roommates weren't there. The victims weren't killed there. The house had already been processed. And something happened before the discovery of the crime in general, not the bodies, the entire crime. I can turn on Netflix and I can see wild shit. I can't even open up X without some Ukrainian, Russian drone war footage that's just traumatic to watch of people getting blown up. Or if I go on Instagram, I can't see gang drive-bys and shootings off Ring cameras. This is a crime that happened in the public eye that we don't believe is fully solved. We deserve transparency as the public so that we can hold our officials, our judges, the system accountable. That's what it comes down to. We're not some sick freaks that just want to see blood or dead bodies. No, we want to know, did your ass lie? We want to know, are you doing your job? Are you telling us the truth? Or are you using your friends like Ashley Banfield, Nancy Grace, Brian Enton, all these other paid for talking heads to sell us a story that time and time again in our country and probably all over the world, but just speaking for Americans, we have had a narrative that has gotten us into wars. We've had narratives that have torn families apart. We've had narratives that have destroyed our economy. And so why are we to think that if they can do all that shit, they can't lie about what should be a straightforward stabbing with a fixed blade knife bought off of Amazon by a weirdo? Hell fucking no. And I'm done acting like that's unfathomable. Wake up, dust off, reload, recalibrate your brain to think outside the box. This is a clear cover up. What do you do in a cover up? You cover shit up. How do you cover it up? You lie about shit. You make things happen when they didn't really happen. You can manipulate audio and video. And anybody thinking that that's a stretch, has anybody seen AI videos lately? Has anybody seen it? Because it's pretty insane. And you can do this with other tools. You can edit body cam on Axon, Motorola, all these other kind of digital software companies for body cams. They have editing built in. I don't believe that a police officer should ever be able to grab their body cam and mute it like you see Gunnarsson do. I think that that's wrong. And without getting all fired up, if you want to continue to look at the documents and try to figure this out, all the power to you. I'm not hating on anybody. I'm not a hater. I love the open-minded thinking. If you can figure that shit out, I'll listen. I love to listen and debate and theorize. But what I won't do is be told that anything else could not have happened anymore. So with that, Hive, have a great rest of your Saturday. I'll be on tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Central. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. Cheers.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for